Hair brushing. You love it? You hate it? And the struggle is real. So to preface, I hated brushing my hair when I was young. To be honest, I still don't really like brushing my hair. It's a daunting service that I have to do to myself. It's very painful because I'm very tender-headed, and I'm just like, why? But let me tell you why brushing your hair is so important. The reason why it's so important is because your scalp releases a lot of oils through the pores into the follicles that your hair grows out of. And by you brushing your hair, you're taking the oils that are collecting in the very surface of your head and distributing them down the hair shaft. And what those oils are doing is helping to lubricate your hair, to make it shiny, to make it softer, to make it easier to manage. Our goal is to not have to wash our hair so often. And if you're caring for your hair properly, you shouldn't have to wash it every day or a couple of times a day, unless you're doing something strenuous. And then, you kind of have to, like going to the gym or working outside. Then yeah, of course, you're gonna wanna wash your hair because it's gonna be gross. But I wash my hair about once or twice a week. And I know that sounds crazy. And I know for some people it sounds kind of gross, but in actuality, I don't need to do that. I don't need to wash my hair every single day. Because if I were to wash my hair every day, my hair would be super dry. It'd be difficult to manage. My color would fade a hell of a lot quicker than it already does. And it just wouldn't help me at all. My scalp would actually start to flake and start to itch because it'd be so dry. The natural oils that your scalp produces are what keep your scalp lubricated. They're your body's natural lotion, if you will, natural moisturizer. And the reason why it gets so built up in a lot of cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, is because we are not brushing our hair appropriately, or we are not massaging our scalps appropriately. And so what we got to do is make sure that we are constantly stimulating the follicles in our scalp, stimulating the pores and the blood vessels and everything to not only secrete the oils, but to make sure that we're brushing the oils down to help lubricate our hair. And so, what's even better is that for any of my botanists out there, when you fertilize a plant, I don't know much about botany, so don't hate on me for this, but when you fertilize a plant, you're essentially helping it to grow, I would assume. And so the fertilizer helps to promote the growth of the plant, the health of the plant. The oils our scalp produces do the same thing to our hair. You have to lubricate our follicle, you have to moisturize the hair, but also help to make it grow. Because your scalp is so stimulated, the blood vessels in your scalp are so stimulated, you're creating the energy your hair follicle needs to wake up and continue growing. Because a lot of times we think, oh, my hair isn't growing, it's falling out, or this, that, and the other. In some cases it is. There's a lot involved with that. There's genetics, there's health, there's medication, there's stress. There is so much involved as to why our hair actually comes out outside of the normal stages that it actually does on a regular basis. And so that's a whole other thing to dive into that I'm not really all that 100% qualified to discuss, but those are just the varying factors that could be involved with unusual hair loss. But overall, brushing your hair is very, very important to help promote the growth of your hair so that it does continue to grow and to help wake up the follicles so it does grow. Because sometimes the follicles just I like to say the follicle is asleep. And so it helps it to wake it up, to give it that extra oomph, the extra push, and be like, hey, you still got this, you're still in this game, just wake up and start growing, and we'll be good. So sometimes it just needs that. And what the oils in our scalp do is they help to make that happen. And so I'm here to discuss with you the importance of brushing your hair and how I like to equate it to brushing your teeth every single morning. When we brush our teeth, we're not just refreshing our breath to make, when we actually talk to people, we're not trying to scare them off, but to also help maintain the health of our teeth, of our gums, of our overall oral hygiene in general. And by not brushing our teeth, we end up with tooth decay and all sorts of other dental issues. And aside from having extremely bad breath, it's just overall not pleasant to not brush our teeth. We want to brush our teeth at minimum twice a day. And so the same thing with brushing our hair. You want to brush your hair at minimum 2 to 3 times a day. And this goes for, if you are one of those people who rides a motorcycle, for instance, and you have long hair, or you ride a convertible and you have long hair. It's better to pull the hair back in a ponytail and then brush it later when you have a chance than to let it go wild and become a rat's nest and make their job even harder later on. Because I know when I drive in my car, my windows are always down. I like the feel of the wind in my face. But I don't like my hair flying everywhere, and I also don't like having to deal with all the knots that wind is going to create in my hair afterwards. So it's easier for me to pull my hair back and then brush it after. So if you are not able to brush your hair, at least make it easier for you in the end to be able to do that. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm actually going to demonstrate to you how I brush my own hair. And so you can get an idea on how to brush your own if you have long hair, especially if you're a young teenage girl, you don't really know how to brush your hair, or really had anyone really teach you, really help you, then I'm here to help you out with that. So stay tuned. So different textures of hair call for different methods of brushing, believe it or not. So hair that is straight or wavy should not be brushed wet. When it's brushed wet, it is more vulnerable to breakage. The elasticity is very, very vulnerable, and the hair becomes a lot weaker. So it can snap off, it can break off, it can be pulled out of the scalp. Overall, it's really not good to do that. However, with the invention of wet brushes, it's made that job a lot easier, a lot less painful, and a lot less damaging. That being said, I still prefer the method of using a wide tooth comb with conditioner still in your hair while you're still in the shower. Doing so with the conditioner, starting from the bottom and working your way up to the top of your head, with the conditioner still in your hair, allows your hair to give the comb a little bit more smoothness, a little bit more ease. So when you're actually going through your hair with the comb, you're not pulling and tugging at your hair. So what you're doing is, I'm using my fingers as a demonstration, but what you're doing is you're working your way, starting from the bottom, getting out all the knots in your hair from the very bottom, and then working your way up little by little until you're able to get to the top of your head and bring your fingers through with ease. Okay? And so when you're doing that with the brush, and let's say you're starting from up here and then going down, you're pulling all of your hair out of your scalp, and you're causing a buildup of hair in one single spot on your head, and you're not able to get through, and you actually end up causing a lot of pulling, a lot of tugging, and a lot more breakage in that manner. And the conditioner helps to give the hair a little bit more slick, a little bit more give, so that comb is able to get through a lot easier. so you don't have to fight with it. And then when you rinse all the conditioner out of your hair afterwards, it's easier for you to grab a towel and just lightly wring all the moisture out of your hair, and then brush it again as it starts to dry up a little bit. And speaking of towels, tousling your hair with the towel when it's wet is not the way to go, because that's what causes your hair to become frizzy. It's what causes it to become very vulnerable to breakage. And overall, it's really not a good way to go about doing it. So what you want to do is, I like to call the Indian turban way of doing it. So I will flip my head upside down, grab my towel, and wrap the towel around my head to create like a turban. And what I will do is, in that instance, is I'll kind of wrap it and kind of tug it a little bit so that my hair has some time to dry. The towel will absorb all the moisture that's left in my hair, and after about 5-10 minutes, my hair is dry enough to not be dripping everywhere. And then I can let it air dry some more, and then finally go back in and brush it. For anyone that has seen my hair done naturally, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see my hair is naturally very wavy. And it's not straight or anything. This is blown out. I blew it out myself yesterday. And so this is the finished product of me blowing it out. Now, I purposely have not brushed my hair today because I wanted to make this video, and I wanted to show you how I brush my hair. So I purposely left it unbrushed, and this is what my hair is like when it's not brushed. Still looks good. It's not too bad. You can still get away with it without having to do it. But for nature of this video, I'm gonna show you how I brush my hair in the proper manner. And I'm also gonna show you on my hair how to brush the different textures of hair, so that when you come face to face with certain textures, you understand, like, oh, okay, well, Talia said, you know, well, I can brush it this way, and so let me try that and see if that works. All right, so stay tuned and we'll follow up. So here's a bit of a conundrum for you. With curly hair, it's actually not good to brush it when it's dry. I know. What we were saying before about straight and wavy, you don't want to brush it when it's wet. Well, with curly hair, you don't want to brush it when it's dry, because doing so actually will break apart the curl a lot. It'll make the hair really poofy, make it really frizzy, and make it even harder to get through, because what ends up happening is the curls intertwine with each other and they create knots in the hair. That makes it even harder to get through later. So with curly hair, it's actually better and easier to brush through it when it's damp. And not to use a brush again, and to use a wide tooth comb or pick to be able to get through it, so that you don't break the curl, but you also make it easier for you to get through when it's wet versus, again, when it's dry. So you want to use the pick for when you don't want to break apart the curl. You still want to keep the bounce. You want to keep the life of the curl. You also want some lift of the root area. So that's what the pick is great for, especially for those really curly curls from the root to the tip. And you don't want to flatten out your curls. You want to bounce the curls up even more. And so, but then if you want to flatten out your curls and say you want to loosen them up a little bit more, then yeah, you want to use a brush that's designed to be used on wet hair. Like the wet brushes are awesome, or wide tooth comb. And that will be your best friend when it comes to brushing out curly hair. The one blessing with curly hair is that it's not weakened by moisture. And so it can take a little bit more of a beating per se than wavy or straight hair, and it's a bit more fragile. And so curly hair, it's best to be styled when it's wet, whether with a comb or a brush or even your fingers. So it's less prone to tangling, and you're able to retain a lot more of the moisture that way. And it's overall a lot easier to style your hair in that manner. If need be, and you have to untangle your hair when it's dry, then my best bet for you would be to dampen your comb or your wet brush and comb through your hair with the damp comb or the damp wet brush. That way, starting from the bottom, working your way up to the top. Because, like I said before, you don't want to do it when it's wet, when it's dry, because it's going to damage your hair, it's going to make your life a living hell, and it's just overall easier to do it when it's damp versus when it's dry. All right, so here's my hair, and this is the brush I'm going to use to brush it with. So this is an actual wet brush. It's a wet paddle brush, so it's vented in the back here, so I can use it for blow drying as well. And so it helps to absorb all the moisture, and the bristles are very flexible. So they help to go with the motion of me brushing my hair. So they're not very stiff, and I'm able to get the brush through my hair a lot easier. So I'm gonna show you how I brush my hair with this. And I like to start off just by taking I don't use any like perfect sectioning or anything like that, but I do like to part it as much as I can down the middle, so to speak. Grab hair from each side, and I'll kind of comb this section here behind my ear, and then I'll grab this section here like this, and holding it like this allows me to keep the tension off my root area back here. So it allows me to kind of release some of the tension back there. Take my brush, and then I'll start combing like this. And I'll do this until I get all my knots out of my hair, until I feel like it's safe for me to brush it a little bit higher, and then I kind of move my hand up a little bit more, and then I just continue brushing up the head. And then once I'm able to get all the knots out of that one area, then I will go and bring the brush up to the top. Now, if your hair is super thick and you're not able to feel the bristles going through your whole head, and like right now I can feel the bristles massaging my scalp, which is what I want, because I want to bring the oils that are on my scalp down to the ends of my hair. So by me going ahead and brushing my hair and making sure that I get all those oils out, then I'm able to, keep the oils from clogging and distributing up in the center of my head and kind of bring them down. And so when I get that one side ready and done and completed, then I'll put that side behind my ear, and then I will go and do the same thing on this side. So I grab it, and then let's continue on. Now, if your hair is super thick, like I was saying, you're not able to feel the bristles going through your whole head in one session, then what you want to do is maybe section your hair off and brush it in sections, brush it in pieces. Because if you're not able to feel the brush going through your whole head, going through your whole scalp, then you're not getting an accurate brushing. And you're probably you're thinking you're brushing your hair, but you're really brushing the surface, but you're not getting anything underneath or anything in between, which ends up causing a lot more issues in the end for you than what you think. You think on the surface, oh, my hair's brushed. Underneath here, you really have humongous maps because you're not able to get the brush all the way through. So you want to section the hair off in that way and brush it in sections. And then once I have those sides there brushed, then I will take the entire section of my hair and bring it over and repeat the same thing again. And I'll do this again on the other side and make sure that I have all the knots out, that I have all those oils brought down from my roots, and that my hair is knot free. And this is what I do when I brush my hair, because like I said, if I'm just brushing, you know, to split it down the sides and brush it that way and then that's it, I'm done, then I mean, yeah, that's fine, but you want to make sure that you get your entire head of hair brushed in one session. And doing it this way really helps to make sure, like I said, you get all those oils distributed. You give yourself a nice scalp massage. Like, I can feel the bristles massaging my scalp, and the reason why I'm not stopping because it actually feels kind of good. So it's really, really important to do that. And that's it. So, but when you're brushing, it's basically wet, I mean not wet, like straight or wavy hair, and how you would do this. And when you're brushing curly hair from root to tip, you want to follow the same thing, but only when the hair is wet. So when curly hair is wet, you want to follow the same method and, you know, split it down the middle. If your hair is longer, start on one side and then work your way up. And the same thing on this side. Just hold it, start from the bottom and work your way up. And you want to use like a comb, like something like this, or even something like this. Again, these are all from the wet look, the wet comb, the wet brush family. So these or these are awesome for you to use. For you when you're at home trying to style your hair. Another great option would be to also have a pick, which would be something sort of like this in a way. You can sit there and just pick at the curls, and this way you can kind of almost use your fingers in a way. There you go. Almost use your, kind of mimics the fingers. It helps to give you lift at the root. And it also helps to break up the curls without flattening them out. With the comb, very similar technique used before. You hold it and use the comb to go through the hair that way. And this is going to be your best friend when your hair is wet. That's what it's designed for. When after I'm done shampooing out my clients, I almost never go for this. I go for this instead. It's easier, it mimics the fingers, and it doesn't pull, it doesn't tug, and when I'm trying to section the hair at the same time, it makes my life a lot easier. I'm able to section the hair and comb it all at the same time instead of having to brush it and then go back and separate it to go to either do a color, either do a cut or a treatment or styling or what have you. It becomes your best friend. So I really, really hope this helped, and this helps to give some insights to any of you out there who want to learn how to brush your hair properly, who've never had instruction to brush their hair properly. I am really hoping that this will help to give you some insights and a little bit of assistance. If you have further questions, feel free to let me know. Drop a comment down below. Reach out to me however other way you can. I'm also going to do a video on the types of brushes that I like to be using for styling, for brushing the hair in general. So different brushes have different types of functions as well. So like this video, like, subscribe, and look forward to hearing more. If there's something I missed, if there's something that you would like to go further deeper into, drop a comment below and let me know. Have a good day.